Well, good evening, Glue Troopers, and welcome back to the TARDIS. So, today I have a whole bunch of stuff. Got a really big shoe for you. And first thing I want to do is give a shout out to Tom Andrews, who has his YouTube channels. No, I do not want to try the free trial. Tom Andrews, The Hanger Deck. And it's a fellow like me doing his thing, you know, like Mystic Modeler Ships, Bruce Kerr, and others who just YouTube channel about building his models, and it's great. And well, what he did that was so interesting, and I'll put a link below, was that he went to Planes of Fame Museum, which I believe is still in Chino, California. And I went there back in like '91. Well, apparently, I didn't realize this, and maybe it wasn't the case back then, but they actually have about 6,000 kit models, that probably most of which have been donated to them, which a lot of them are very rare. And they don't actually have I wouldn't call it a dedicated museum, or maybe it is part of the museum because he was back there, but some newer stuff, but also a lot of vintage stuff. And he basically does a walkthrough, and including some things they do have on display, including a 100-year-old model. But you know what? I'm going to let you watch the video. He has a gentleman there, I believe it was Ted, that's going to explain some of the stuff at the end. And for those who don't know, Planes of Fame was started by a forward-thinking guy. I believe it was Ed Maloney was his name. And after the war, he saw, you know, that the Chino was one of many places where we're dumping airframes and grinding them into modular housing and aluminum cans, or aluminium. And he had the foresight to start grabbing what he could and saving stuff for future reference. And we owe a lot to him. He passed a few years ago, but thank you, Ed. So check that video out. You'll enjoy it. And the other thing I want to talk about was the Mace, which is starting to come along. I don't know if you can see that. And you see how big this thing is. I mean, it literally is the length of my forearm from the elbow just up past the wrist. And I'm probably putting some pictures up here right now. This stand, if built properly, this trailer does go down and up. It does move, and I took a little video. This is not built, this is just a set here for this demonstration. For demonstration purposes only. You have to be careful. Unfortunately, there's one component here in the rear that keeps popping out, and I'm probably going to have to glue it in place. It's this, it's a rotating part that connects these two, and there's not a locking mechanism on it, so it's distinctly possible I may have to pick a position, but maybe I can find a way to something. Hey, it's not that important. It's going to sit on the shelf, so it's not really that important, but the rest of it's over here, and I'm not going to touch it because it's strong. I used metallizer. What I did on this was, as you guys know, I primed it and sanded it twice till it looked good. And I realized I didn't have that much metallizer, or not as much as I thought. I had this Vallejo acrylic that was sent to me. And given my experience with the other metallizers that I'd used that came in the smaller jars, how fast that stuff went through the air gun, and I thought, you know, this isn't going to be enough to do the airplane a couple of coats. So what I did was, I had this Tamiya bare metal silver, which looks pretty good. So what I did was I put a third primer coat using this, so that if the metallizer wasn't enough to cover the whole thing properly, this Tamiya bare metal silver as a background would probably make it presentable. You know, I figured I'd do the fuselage first, and then if I have enough, I'll do the wings and the tail. And that way, if they're a little off color, it won't be a big deal. Turned out to be unnecessary. I actually put 2 thin coats of the silver on it. It looked pretty good. Here's some pictures of it. And I was like, heck, that looks okay. But you know what? I want to do metallizer, see if it looks better. Turns out that this Vallejo went a lot further than the other stuff did. I used my big Iwata spray gun on it, and well, here's some footage of it. And it made pretty quick work of it. I put on, I believe it was 3 or 4 thin coats. But at one point the gun stopped working. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. You hear that? We all know what that is. That's the agitator ball, right? When I was pouring it, I forgot I heard a little metallic clink. The agitator ball had gone into the spray hopper on the Iwata, and at one point it finally rolled over and just was blocking it. And I was like, no matter how big I open the nozzle, and they're like, oh yeah. So I went and got my tweezers, fished it out, all was good. So I put on about 4 thin coats, and I still have a little bit left. But you know what? I'm happy with the way it looks, and in the end, that's all that matters. I've been looking at a lot of pictures. Now, all the gaps are filled, but there's still some visible seams, and I left them that way because I was looking at the pictures of the actual, because I'm going to do this, most of these things, the pictures I found were deployed in a bare aluminum. I know you see pictures of them painted OD green, and then all manner of paint schemes on these things, because I don't think any 2 test vehicles were painted the same. And if you can have all kinds of fun painting this thing, but I decided to go with most of the units that were deployed were just the bare metal, so I want to go with that. But because it was bare metal, all the seams, the rivet lines and everything showed fairly well. So I thought, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. And so I'll be just probably using some a little wash or something, or just to kind of slightly highlight some of the seam lines. I might even use a pencil, and we'll see how that goes. Now I should point out, because I didn't want, even though they're all acrylics, I didn't want to risk any issues. So after I put the Tamiya acrylic over the primer, which was also a Tamiya paint, that's why I wasn't worried, they were both Tamiya acrylics. But when I was done with that, I put a clear coat over it, just gloss clear coat, and then I put this on, and I'm very happy with the results. It's not perfect, but man, it's good. You know, you guys are right. Slowed my roll, took my time, and I've got that. I like that. That's what it's all about, right? So that's that. This Renwall kit's really well engineered. I did have to bore out some of the holes and a little shaving and a little bit of flash here and there. The stuff you would expect. But 1 or 2 bits of the instruction sheet were a little tricky to, oh, that's what they mean. So, but overall, I'm very impressed. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about was I got 2 really big boxes today. Now, you guys know normally I don't put out people's information when they send me stuff, partly just for general, protect your privacy from the interweb, but also because I don't want these people to be getting, and some people have actually asked me not to do this because they don't want people pestering them for free kits or anything. Well, I'm going to make an exception today because this individual is an established, and he sent me 2 boxes. Each one of them had a letter in it. It was the same letter in both of them, but that makes sense in case one box shows up before the other. And he's a really interesting guy. Now, this letter's kind of long, so what we're going to do is, this gentleman's name is Ken Keller. And Ken, I hope you don't mind me putting your name out, but since you're a public person, and when I read his letter, maybe some of you guys can go find some of his books or look at some of his work, but if you're not already at Amazon. So let me open the boxes, and we'll go through the unboxing, a sort of surprise, and then I'll read the letter because he kind of itemized stuff. I do need to point one thing out when I read the letter. The very model he described that I have is literally right there on the shelf. I'm probably putting a picture over here. And as soon as, when he was writing about what I don't have in my stash, the first thing I thought is, well, I got that one. And then on a half paragraph letter, that model he mentioned it. So I was like, you guys have got eagle eyes. And first off, he noticed I didn't have a B-17 in the stash. Oh, I gave one of them away. Oh, well, let's unbox and see. I guess there's going to be a B-17 in here, huh? So, now, as usual, I have pre-opened these boxes, and I'm making a policy, because most of you guys put the letter on top, which is good, to go ahead and read the letter first, so just as kind of a time saver, but I like the unboxing to be a legitimate first time we all see it. Okay, these are books. Birth of a Legend, YB-17, Lucky 666. We'll be talking about this. If you guys don't know The Impossible Mission, this 666, you might have seen it on one of the History Channel documentaries. It's the basically Hangar Queen cobbled together parts plane that was sent out on a recon mission, and it got jumped by half the Japanese Air Force, and by some miracle they managed to come back alive. And highest decorated crew in the Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. Through My Glasses Darkly, science fiction story, selected and edited by Robin Wayne Bailey. I believe he's going to talk about some of these books in the letter. Walker Between Worlds, Phyllis Eisenstein, and 13 Horrors, edited by Brian Hopkins. So yeah, okay. There's a reason for these books. We're gonna get to it. It's like magazine articles or resource material. We'll be talking about this in a bit, but Ken is a big resource guy. He makes, well, like I said, we're going to talk about it shortly. Japan's mystery fleet of American bombers. I actually read an article about this is all magazine articles and resource material. And 3-year Yanks, the Sperry D belly turret, which was the one that did not have a person in it. Kind of like was on that B-20 early B-25. Was it C and D? B-17 war prizes and captured B-17. We'll be, I'm sure we'll be talking about this at length at a live stream. I'm planning a live stream Saturday, and I think I'm going to kick off at 7 p.m. East Coast time. So I believe that's 8, and I believe that's 11 p.m. Greenwich. I think we're still plus 4 hours off. Oh, if we're not, I'll try and research that real quick and put a message right across my big face. Okay. More B-17 and B-24 research material. You know what? I'm going to leave that wrapped up for right now. Make sure I'm not leaving anything in the box. Okay. That's everything. Those books are awesome. Going to be some great resource material. Wish I had a way to, I suppose I could try and scan those and put them online for anybody that's building one. Okay, now, this is the big box, which is actually much lighter. I'm in bubble wrap heaven. 1/72nd scale Academy B-17 E&G aftermarket parts, decals for the B-17 Cent, Metal Earth B-17, just because. So, be very careful because these will be pieces parts. Captured B-17. Canopies. There's just all kinds of goodness in here. More canopies. There's the Metal Earth B-17. I've made one Metal Earth kit in my life. That was the F-22. I was about bonkers when I was done with it. But I've been considering doing a second one, so thank you. Photo etch parts, more decals. Beautiful. Okay. Let me put this right here. Ah, beautiful. For either of the B-17s captured by the Japanese in World War II. And this is the Academy 1/72nd scale. I don't know about you guys, but I think 1/72nd scale is probably your best scale for bombers, just unless you've got unlimited storage space, just because they're the bigger ones, the 148s and stuff. Most people don't wind up hanging them up. And I don't know about you guys, I've had good luck with Academy kits. I've heard some people complain, but I've had nothing but good luck with them. I did that Stuka, and somebody sent me another one, and that was a great little kit. It is a great little kit. Okay, here's another can be built for B-17E, old 666 loose CC enclosed letter. Another, that's the Fort Alamo B-17F. All right, now. And another Academy B-17G. Beautiful. Make sure once again, that's everything in the box. I am literally packing this bubble wrap so high I'm having trouble seeing out the front door. All right. I'm just going to set these back in here for a moment. And I will put this, keep all this together along with the resource material. So keep all that B-17 goodness together. Now let me read his letter, which I have already read. Now this is kind of long, and there'll be a few parts I'll skip over, but I think you guys will appreciate a lot of this. Okay, dear Max, from the great Styrene Sea, washing ashore on your beach at long last, are some very late birthday presents for you. Allow me to wish you again a belated happy 60th birthday. While I'm not a model builder anymore, I still remain a serious long-time kit collector. I also love doing detailed research on modeling projects. By the way, I love your various kits, in fact, and all your clever and fun YouTube videos. Oh, shucks. Your model company histories are much appreciated by me. I built my first kits back in 1959 as an 11-year-old. Enclosed, you'll find both cartons, you'll find 60th birthday presents. There's a unifying theme to them. One of my personal all-time favorite aircraft, the justly famous B-17 Flying Fortress. I saw none of them in your growing kit stash after studying your multiple YouTube videos. You guys are eagle-eyed. I tell you what, I didn't even realize I didn't have one. And in fact, when I first read this, I went over and looked, and he's right. I was like, I don't? I don't. Seriously. So anyway, where was I? Rewind. Multiple YouTube videos. Beyond the small airliner, when he said that, wait, I got that one. Beyond the small airliner scale 144 B-17G, originally from Crown in the mid-70s, that you built a while ago and have on display on your shelf right there. And I bought and built this for my Midway video. I don't even remember if I used it. I think I used it on when I was like moving the map around when I did the Battle of Midway for young adults. And actually, I believe that was a E model though, which is why I got it, because I think that's, except for one D model, I think the ones at Midway were all E models. Okay. And if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure somebody's burning up the keyboards right now. So, label carton 1 contains 5 published books and more. Okay, here we go. First off, you notice there are non-aviation titles included in the carton. These are just for fun, for something a bit different and unexpected. They're professional science fiction, fantasy, and horror fiction collections, of which I was the publisher. As founder in 1971 of the long-running, and he has here pronounced, CAXFUS. That's the Kansas City Science Fiction and Fantasy Society. I'm the publisher and graphic designer for the Society's publishing division, CAXFUS Press. The 3 enclosed fiction titles were 3 of my projects. I hope you'll enjoy them, being a fellow fan of these related genres. I would mention that all the writers in the volumes are long-established professionals, and some of them award-nominated and award-winning. There are no amateurs in these fiction collections. Professionally published aviation history books, both the Army Air Corps subjects, which are well researched. The first one contains more corrected detailed facts of the amazing Pacific War old 666, the B-17E we talked about, that flew that incredible mission, and her fearless crew, the Eager Beavers. Guys, if you have a beer or a cocktail tonight, salute the Eager Beavers. It's a hell of a story. The astonishing final Michelin earned the Medal of Honor for her pilot and bombardier. And now, mind you, that's 2 people that got Medals of Honor on one plane on one mission. So the most highly decorated crew in history. I'm not sure. I think the pilot may have lost a leg in that mission. I have to go look that up. The second, the detailed volume of American strategic bombing, a unique U.S. aviation history, specifically spotlighting the development of the B-17. The B-17 coming out just in time for involvement in World War II. Yeah, people don't realize the B-17 was a very new airplane when the war broke out. For that matter, the Willis Jeep had only been in production, I think, 5 or 6 months when Pearl Harbor was attacked. The Willis MB, the famous Army Jeep, I believe the final variant had started mass production. I want to say, if I remember from the book All-American Wonder, I think it was June of 41. Let's see. Fortunately, I could crank them out so fast they were everywhere in a hurry. My 6 specialty hand-assembled research project, 2 tops of the Pacific B-17E 666, Lucy and her aircrew, and the 3 Japanese captured B-17's Ds, 1D and 2 Es, that were unknown to American military intelligence till after the war. Japanese also captured a top-secret Norden bomb site at the same time. These booklets contain all the available aviation history on both subjects. They can be used as detailed modeling references. I included as much as I could find on the internet from my own personal aviation collection. I've also included in the carton the very smallest B-17G model I've ever seen. That's the Middle Earth. Just had to include it as a bonus. I have a copy too. Just imagine a smaller Godzilla figure diorama holding 2 post-war Japanese Defense Force bombers in his claw hand. It's funny you should mention that, because that little Crown Zero, I've melted it and twisted it, and that's what my Godzilla has in his hand up on the shelf. And I actually had an idea for another goofy, one of my little Godzilla versus fun, I love pitting Godzilla against World War II equipment or post-World War II equipment. I don't know why, it's my flying. But when I'm done with this, I'll tell you what my bad idea for a story is. Aftermarket decal sets, we covered those. We went through them. And some 8 aftermarket decal sets for 3 Academy kits. Japanese, yeah, okay. Oh, the early production ventral spray gun turret with remote sighting dome. Everything you'll need to build both kit projects is now included. Should you choose to do either or even both projects, I probably will. If you went to the trouble to send it, I'm sure when I get around to it, that's what I'll do with it. And I love doing something different, like captured aircraft and different markings, which is okay. I'll come back. For once, he does not derail on the tangent and got back on course. Let's see. The F-Halls had large gun windows, port starboard side fuselage, and old 66 modifying reference that old 66 was field modified before a fateful mission. You have to eliminate the top side nose astrodome on the F kit to make it a proper E model. He goes into some of the things that have to be done. Well, there it is. I hope you enjoy all this, and the kits will fill a hole in your modeling stash, and you'll enjoy in your book and reading collections. I've had a lot of fun assembling all of this. You only turn 60 once. It's my thanks for all the fun videos you've dedicated yourself producing. As always, look to what's coming up next on Max's Models. Thanks for your dedication. They're always much appreciated by this glue trooper, Ken Keller. Well, Ken, thank you immensely. I appreciate that, and I'm sure I will build the models the way we talked about them, because that's, first off, you sent me everything. It'd be a turnkey operation. It'd be kind of silly not to, but also it's something new, interesting, and different to do. Now, I thought what would be kind of fun, I don't know if the Japanese ever captured a Corsair, Vought Corsair, but I thought, that would be a cool looking air, since the Japanese airplanes are generally radial engine. I thought a Corsair would really look cool in Japanese markings. It would just be a cool looking airplane. And I had a thought. Everyone who serves in the military, and pretty much most people have to serve during wartime, we all see ourselves as the good guys. And, soldiers fight for their flag, their country, because basically they're told to. And although bad things happen and some, and so forth, after the war, a lot of these people become friends, because they realize the guy on the other side he was just born in that country and I was born in this one. It was never personal. And I was thinking something that would be really cool, and I could actually work this plot line in, is you make a Godzilla movie based in 46 instead of 53. Now, of course, the military, the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps and Army and everything had occupied Japan, and they've been stripped of largely their military. But there was a big fear of communism taking wind in Japan, so there was, over in China at this point, Chiang Kai-shek was still fighting Mao. So there was the idea being that we realized we were going to have to build up a Japanese self-defense force, which basically still exists to this day. And what I'm thinking is, have Godzilla be a result of the 2 bombs we dropped or whatever, whatever you want to fill the gaps in, but, or some, crazy experiment gone bad, whatever. But the American High Command's attitude is, we've just finished a war, we've lost a lot of young men, we don't want to lose any more fighting for Japan. So we're going to rearm the Japanese so they can fight this monster. So what they do is they at first order businesses, they give them what they're used to flying, so they get some of their old fighter planes, so the Zeros and Raidens and everything are attacking, and this way you get to see the Japanese World War II type aircraft in action against, the big lizard. When that doesn't work, we say, okay, we're gonna check them out in our equipment. So they give them Corsairs to fight with. And at first, the Americans are like flying a top cover, just watching what goes on, but they're under orders not to attack. They want to, have the Japanese defend the Japanese home islands. It's kind of a rehabilitation thing. Show the Americans and the Japanese working together. And so what you would have is eventually the Japanese would start using basically hand-me-down American equipment, and it would just be an idea to have some fun with the aircraft and the relationships between the people and fighting the monster. And in fact, Godzilla almost becomes a little more than an excuse just to, see squadrons of Japanese Corsairs that, with top cover from Navy Bearcats or something, and, maybe give them Bearcats at some point. And for the model companies, if this ever became a movie, which I'm sure will not happen, but if it ever did, then the model companies could repop all their Corsair and Bearcat models with Japanese markings and, movie tie-ins and stuff. And it would just be an excuse for some cool crossover airplane stuff and ship stuff and, just all that kind of thing. Just, let your imagination run wild. So anyway, that was my idea for, and and if you really want to try and weave it into historical context, you could say that start the movie with "This never happened," and when it's all over, the American and the Japanese government agree that this never happened because we both had our footprint on the creation of this beast, and we don't want. We want to cover this a big cover up afterwards, so the history books don't get changed. Anyway, just silliness on my part. But anyway, guys, if I'm smart, I cut this part out and maybe left it at the end as an option so you don't have to watch it to get to the end of the video. It's how my brain works. Well, guys, take care of yourselves. I hope everybody's doing well. I do plan to do a live stream, 7 o'clock East Coast time, Saturday night. Hope to see you there. Take care of yourselves, and as always, model on. If I didn't mention, the problem with the top on my car was for anybody who's interested, was it looks like the motor is going bad. So, oh well.